In other Utah violence this week, or at least would-be violence, were it not for some serendipitous incompetence, apparently, seemingly unrelated, except that this attempted attack was committed against a news van gathered with others in Salt Lake City covering the developing Charlie Kirk assassination story on Friday. Under a local Fox 13 vehicle parked outside an occupied building in the city, police found an incendiary device, a firebomb of some sort, lit, but failing to function. Whoever said it tried to detonate it, in other words, but it didn't. Obviously, police say this posed a significant threat to public safety and that it could have resulted in mass casualties, given how many people were immediately around it. The people who set the bomb were not present upon its discovery, but investigation led police to a home about 10 miles away in suburban Magna, Utah. Presumably that's because fingerprints or other evidence collected at the scene were trackable to the two men now arrested, both of whom have prior criminal records. Now, of course, given that a Fox vehicle was the target, even though this isn't Fox News, this is a separate local station, but just based on that piece alone, one might assume that if there is a political motive in this case, it would be a left-wing political motive, or anti-conservative in whatever form. And it looks like that is the case, but before we get any more specific, we have to start with the most relevant descriptors first. Just like old Maryland Father Kilmar, these are two Utah men now arrested for the bomb planting.
Police say two Utah men are under arrest this morning.
Well, the FBI has arrested two Utah men for attempting to blow up a news vehicle in Salt Lake.
But no, it wasn't Mitt Romney or even the ghost of Brigham Young. These are two Utah men by way of Karachi.
The two men taken into custody are identified as 58-year-old Adib Nasir and 31-year-old Adil Nasir.
Upon announcement of these suspects, people dug into these traditional Mormon names a little deeper, and initially there was some probably incorrect speculation that this is another battle in the gay war. The two men are seen very close in some photos, and there's even one supposedly showing the younger one in perhaps some sort of furry getup, though I'm not even sure if that's actually him. I don't know what the Union Jack is all about, but I guess the UK is mostly Pakistani these days, so maybe that tracks. But whatever the photos show, Adib and Adil Nasir share a name for the perfectly normal reason that they are father and son. Both are U.S. citizens. Adib immigrated from Pakistan. His son Adil was born in Utah. And even if that lends some credibility to the Utah man descriptor, there's some additional oddity in their booking records. The FBI arrested Adib and Adil on Saturday, and as reported by Cassandra Fairbanks, they were both booked and charged as racially white, though Adib's country of birth of Pakistan is correctly noted. And I know in Europe the term Asian is commonly used, referring to the continent generally, but this is a new one to me, so I'm not sure if that's a mistake or if I just missed something about why that's actually normal, or maybe these guys are just extreme north Pakistani. But whatever that's about, if you have any questions about the motive of these actions, the scene at the house is clarifying.
There's some concerning things when you look at this house. A flag in the front porch area that says, "Is he dead yet?" Also, a flagpole that has a flag that says, "We the people," pretty normal, but the American flag turned upside down.
Well, he's not dead yet because you're not capable yet. Yeah, the death wish is ominous, but given the weapons engineering skills here, whoever they wish dead will certainly live long and prosperously. But the arrest itself created an additional threat, this time to the neighbors, though it too ultimately proved just as futile. Upon raiding the home, police found more explosive-related components, guns, which per prior criminal convictions they are prohibited from possessing, and drugs and drug paraphernalia. It was those additional explosives, or supposed explosives, that created a new hazard. Police asked Adib and Adil, "Hey guys, we know your bombs aren't really that dangerous since you suck so bad at building them, but what's the deal with the bomb kits inside?" And Adib and Adil told police, "You better watch out, because those are more bombs, live and ready to pop off at any moment." So the whole neighborhood had to be evacuated.
A scary thing to hear all of this happening right in their front yard, having to leave their homes and then finding out there could have been explosives in those homes.
Who knows if my whole neighborhood could have, been blown up.
Now, obviously, something unexpected to see happen in your neighborhood.
What a shocking twist in behavior for two guys who seemed so nice.
Did neighbors tell you anything about this suspect? What kind of neighbor was he? What kind of man has he been?
The neighbor we actually spoke with that you saw said that she wouldn't have suspected anything out of Nasir. Some of the people we talked to last night and caught up again with today said that they had interacted plenty and thought he was friendly and would never have expected.
Yeah, I mean, other than openly wishing death to people, great dude. Except for the explicit message on his lawn hoping for this, I never saw it coming. Just a stand-up neighbor. Until he forced us all out of our homes by bomb threat. But this time, it wasn't even that the bombs were too poorly constructed. It's that they were intentionally fake. They were hoaxes, or at least that's what's reported. Police described these explosives as hoax weapons of mass destruction, though Adib and Adil insisted they were real. And I wondered why someone would hoax real weapons to get themselves in even more trouble in this situation. It doesn't make sense to threaten more damage if you know you don't actually have the ammo, because that's just more charges for you. But maybe I'm reading this all wrong, and the simplest answer is correct. Maybe these two are so dumb that they thought their crappy weapons were legit, but they were so badly built that police just assumed, no, those have to be fake, right? Whatever happened, the intent is what matters for the charges. And so both are now charged with making terroristic threats, possessing weapons of mass destruction, and possessing explosive devices, among what will probably be additional charges for the guns and the drugs. But really, this is all just a big misunderstanding. Worse, actually. This is some kind of setup. Where's mom in this arrangement? Well, she's divorced from dad and lives separately, but she tells the New York Times that her son, quote, did not commit anything, and that he's being wrongly accused because he's a vocal opponent of the Trump administration and that he couldn't even hurt a bird. Well, based on his performance, I do believe he couldn't hurt a bird if he tried. They're way up in the sky. He can't even hit the stationary targets on the ground. But would he hurt a bird is the question, and absolutely he would. See his threat and effort to light you on fire or blow you up if he perceives you as having the wrong politics. And even if we want to entertain this silly claim of innocence, it is awfully odd to say upon arrest, whoa, what is this? No, you got this all wrong. I'm not your guy. But by the way, I do have several bombs inside, so, take that into consideration. Both father and son are now held without bail, so don't worry, you won't find them on the light rail train or anywhere else public anytime soon. And hopefully they'll remain confined for a very long time, with plenty of painfully slow hours to sit and hope introspectively instead. Am I dead yet? Nope, you are not. And I'm afraid the engineering skills necessary to change that circumstance are far beyond your skill level. But these two Utah men do still have one small hope potentially in their favor, the one incompetence beyond even their own. The incompetence of a parole board to let them out early so they can try it all over again. See if third time's the charm, or if we're smart enough not to allow it. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below, and especially over on X, that is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to coming out and chatting my live streams as live on Wednesday and Sunday nights. Looking forward to it. Come on.